Very rare. All right, let's talk about these two teams as they get ready to duke it out. First off, C'est La Vie. Now, what a surprise it was for both C'est La Vie and Top Tier when their series went to a tiebreaker. C'est La Vie has continually flexed their power with flag captures. Unfortunately, they are still at the bottom of the Alpha division. When it comes to C'est La Vie, if they win, then they tie for 5th place. If they lose, they stay in 8th place, and they're knocked out of the Gold League. Tough place to be in. Here we go. Talking about #RU. Surprised everyone in their match against Victoria's Secret, but it was not a very joyous surprise, especially for the team and its fans. They fell to the rookie gold team in an astonishing 0-3. A top 8 team from Season 3 now faces the possibility of being knocked out of the Gold League. If they win, they tie for 4th place. If they lose, they tie for 5th place. And that is what is at stake for these two teams. We have one of the team representatives joining us, and that is Big Cheese from C'est La Vie. He's going to have a couple words for us before we get this match started. And he is here. Wanted to confirm. Hello, Big Cheese.
Hello, Coach.
Big Cheese, how would you describe your flag cap strategy? Why does it work so well for your team?
Timing above anything else, I think. We learned from our initial failures with cap fasting, which was just jumping everything onto the cap. And we just set up so that we would force an engagement with the main enemy force, keep them busy, block them off, and send the T-bombs on such onto the cap.
That blockage and also that decoy type play has worked against some very top teams, even Simp. Is it something that you do so well, but you're lacking in the brawls? What one specific thing do you feel your team needs to improve on for next season?
Definitely the brawls, yeah. I think the main thing we need to improve on, and the main crutch for us throughout the season, has been attendance. We've had a lot of trouble. We've not been able to get the practice in that we need to really be competitive because people aren't showing up, which means we can't test our strats properly, which means we can't compete against these teams which are practicing regularly, such as Simp.
I have a question about, on the subject of attendance, what happened to Rella?
I believe after our first 4 losses in a row, he just cut his losses and ran.
Oh.
I'm sorry.
We just seen him since, I don't know.
Wow. Sorry to hear that. But it's good to see that C'est La Vie is going to stick it all the way through to the end. And with that, we commend you, Big Cheese, and we wish you the best of luck on the battlefield. Anything you'd like to say to the people watching and any supporters of C'est La Vie?
Spencer asked me to say this. 07.
All right, Big Cheese. Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you.
07, the salute. Well done. Well done. Well, let's take a look at the rosters real quick. You didn't mention Rella, but let's take a look at what #RU is going to be putting out there on the battlefield. Master Putin, Valera Desolator. I'm definitely going to take a look at Valera, how he performs tonight. And also, hopefully, Young Money Cash Money's got a lucky rabbit foot or something to not be the first one to die for #RU.
Yeah, he was just being targeted the other week so hard. It's hard to judge how well he can play when you have him just being destroyed constantly. And I couldn't tell if he was being directly targeted or if he was just the wrong place at the wrong time. But with 8 players on a team, I mean, you have to expect every single person to be able to perform on every day of the week.
Yeah. And take a look at the placement of those T1s from C'est La Vie to initiate those flag caps tonight. All right, Rukel, that is it for the individual players. What are rules for victory for these teams?
Well, we've hit a little bit on the first one already, and that's going to be cap fast. C'est La Vie, if there's anything they do right, they cap fast. And that's how they're going to have to beat #RU. To depend on every win to be a cap fast, and that's how I expect it to go. Maybe a few draws here and there, but 1 or 2 of those cap fast should give C'est La Vie what they need to push on through the other side. Second, Lord Spencer. Now, if you don't know, Raknips is Spencer, but backwards. I know it's mind-blowing. He's been doing some serious damage for C'est La Vie in a 1390 and an AMX 5100. If he can continue that kind of performance this week, he might be able to take the fight just as far as we saw in their previous match. Finally, number 3 is overmatch. If there's something that C'est La Vie can probably do outside of their cap fast, it's finding a real overmatch and exploiting it. #RU is a tactically sound team, and I expect them probably to win tonight, but if C'est La Vie wants to get it done, aside from those cap fast, which #RU is going to be expecting, find the overmatch, find the split off tanks, get those 1390s out of the way, kill the T1s, and just throw everything you have on the little split up groups, and then clean up the rest.
That's one approach they can make. First battle is going to take place on Ruinberg. This is going to set the pace, I feel, for the entire series. #RU, they have a lot to fight for, trying to break out of that 5th place tie. C'est La Vie fighting to stay in the Gold League. And with that, Rukill, let's take a look at the tanks.
All right, first we have 2 AMX 5100s, an IS-3, 2 1390s, and 2 T1 Cunninghams for #RU. C'est La Vie will bring 2 5100s, 3 IS-6s, and 2 T1 Cunninghams. It's a very strange choice of tank for C'est La Vie.
Well, Hammer Time brought 3 IS-6s on mines. It worked in their favor. Maybe C'est La Vie's taken a page out of their book that was taken, well, borrowed out of the library of top tier, you could say. I'll be following the team to the north. But in the south, you can see the red team, #RU, with their initial spread. And to the north, the team in blue, it's C'est La Vie. Jumping over to
the
Callis.
opening moves will be very interesting from #RU. Young Money, I'm going to be paying attention to aside from Godzilla Mode's opening scout run. That IS-3 is going right up the middle, and that could actually spell for a very interesting attempt for control from #RU, one that I would not consider maximally efficient. Godzilla Mode will get some spotting. Of course, I'll need to remind everyone now that there have been some changes to the Observer Mode. So, you will be able to see all tanks at all times.
That's right. Wargaming, in the latest patch, has released more tools for us to bring you a better viewer experience.
Yep. And with that, don't be confused if you can see a tank. The other players may or may not see it.
Callis scanning the F crossroads. Going to back up for a bit here. Nothing's been spotted yet, it looks like, for C'est La Vie. Indications coming on the mini-map as Sog Cenobite will push forward to scout, and he's going to see 2 tanks very quickly. Master Putin Godzilla mode. Godzilla takes a shot, gets the kill. 1 T1 down for C'est La Vie.
Not bad. Godzilla's going to have to back off a little bit. Maybe go for that reload. He's in the high ground, by the way. And behind him, we do have Young Money, Cash Money, kind of sitting in that IS-3, Valera Desolator, along with Games Rigged in their 5100s actually in the low ground. So if there were a push from C'est La Vie at this point, they could have caught Godzilla and perhaps Master Putin out and alone without any real support. Unfortunately for C'est La Vie, they didn't get to pick up on that. Playing it safe, and now Godzilla, along with Master Putin, are going to be able to pull out of that situation.
Big Cheese and Flaming Panda holding in the Alpha 7 quadrant on the map. This is that northern place where tanks that do spawn to the north go to defend their flag cap, but also to look down to the south for any tanks deciding to creep up on that crossroads section heading to the north. No dice yet for C'est La Vie to land any shots. #RU with their spread still staying back, not going for any aggression yet. There's plenty of time to make a decision. A lot of teams that have that type of play to engage at 3 minutes, then keep their T1s hidden. Could prove to be fruitful. If it's not a loss, it'll go to a draw. 2 shots fired, 1 hits Big Cheese. He falls back. Flaming Panda has a shot bounce off the front of his tank. And that has to be blind fire.
It must be Young Money, Cash Money, maybe, firing off into that distance. We've got Valera. Game is... Oh, could have been from Valera. No, he did not fire. Young Money, Cash Money throwing some shells out there. Unfortunately not able to pen. In the meantime, we do have Putin, Kazo, Godzilla mode, and Topolim heading up the 1 line, going for a little bit of a flank. And like I talked about before, C'est La Vie needs to be ready for this split where they can begin to overmatch one side or the other. They just have to be very careful about which side they choose.
Lord Reknaps is hanging back in the Delta Village. And the 1T1 Doppler may be spotting some of those #RU tanks coming up the 1 line. He is in a very guarded position, at least for T1. But once he's within 50 meters of any tank coming by, they'll see each other. #RU stopping just south of that BC line, heading back to the C1 area, Charlie 1. Now Callis. Still dancing back and forth, not able to scout any tanks on the F crossroads. 5 minutes, 57 seconds.
Yeah, and now #RU looks like they might get ready for a push from the south. Combining that with some kind of cap pressure. They do not recognize the layout of C'est La Vie, though. The layout being such that if there is a push from the south, they'll be able to deflect that along with meet the aggression from the north. And because there hasn't been any big damage out of #RU, I don't feel like they're going to be able to succeed in this very well. I'm very hesitant to think that that #RU is going to be able to make this cap fast work. However, I have to commend them on picking the right side. Picking the side with the attack on the cap fast, knowing C'est La Vie is actually fairly exceptional at executing those. Of course, now, if #RU wants to win, they have to cap fast themselves.
Possibility, though, is the timing of putting pressure on the EF line while the North tries to not just go for the flag, but engage the tanks spotted in Alpha 6-7. They know they're going to be there if they're going for the flag cap, at least defensively. That's the first place I would go. If they're able to do that without taking too much damage, if there's a turbo break that happens, meaning that the C'est La Vie tanks that are in the Delta Echo line are aimed further north, allowing the southern tanks to push in, land a couple shots initially, focus on one target first, that could be a successful run for #RU. But that has to be excellent timing and not missing any shots while still on the move. Very difficult to execute, but still possible. Lord Reknap still sitting in the same section, Delta Village, while Bao Bao is set up in a crossfire with Lord Reknaps here.
I'm waiting for it. It's got to happen soon. #RU is just waiting on the clock, I guess, so that they can perhaps draw it out.
Yep.
If this cap fast fails. C'est La Vie, of course, playing the incredibly passive game. They don't want to waste their time or their win on Ruinberg. They know they don't have the advantage to make the cap. They're a cap fast kind of team. Let's play defensively. Got IS-6s, so they've got tons of hit points. 1,550. Giving them an extra 150 hit points over an IS-3, over a 3 IS-3 lineup, and much, much more over an IS-3 21390 lineup.
3 minutes, 27 seconds. Clock is ticking for either team to pull that trigger to start the engagement. Is this Callis? It's getting closer to the F crossroads, and it's IS-6. It is. Can't tell if he spotted Young Money, Cash Money or not yet.
Don't think so.
It's almost egging on #RU to come to him.
If only they could see him right now. Godzilla mode is in the off crossroads, though, and he is looking in that direction towards Callis. Well, I don't think there's any tanks lit. He has stopped. And I'm wondering if he might take some blind fire out there. Try to see if he can hit anything.
None yet. I don't see any yet, at least towards Callis.
Yeah, there's too many bushes and trees and everything. So, of course, I don't think they will. This is 2 minutes and 38 seconds left. Master Putin still sitting and waiting. I guess #RU might be content with a draw. Or maybe they know, of course, if you get 3 tanks on cap, it is about 34 seconds to get the cap victory. And so that's all you really need. So about a minute and something left, they'll probably begin that execution. Following that, we will see maybe Kazo or Toplim if they can get away, if the fight seems to go sour. Of course, that's not enough time really to get enough kills. And that's what's actually important about making a last-second cap fast on Ruinberg. If it fails, you could probably just draw. It's very difficult to get that many kills, especially with an autoloader lineup like #RU has against the IS-6 lineup. Those IS-6s are going to bounce shells. It's going to happen. You have 1390s. And here's the move. Master Putin, Godzilla mode, moving in. Will they get spotted and will they take fire? Looks like Flaming Panda will spot them. He must, and also right behind him, Dopper is going to have an interesting angle. Master Putin, Godzilla mode, instead of getting on the cap, I think are going to run straight past.
Yep. So I talked about before.
Yep.
Engaged in that northern section. Not enough time, though. 1:20. Prediction will be a draw.
Very possibly. They're only going to have 2 tanks on the cap. And here's the move up, along with Master Putin taking out Big Cheese and Flaming Panda, which does not appear to be going all that successfully right now. Oh, they do pick up the first tier 8 kill, but Master Putin is nearly dead.
And two tanks down already for C'est La Vie in the tier 8s. 32 seconds left for the flag cap. Calus needs to fire back along with Flaming Panda to stop this flag cap. They're focusing on the tanks. IS-6s have the damage, but they are not the autoloaders compared to the 1390s. Shot fired from Valera far away. 16.
Oh, there's a hit. Toplum actually is tracked instead of taking actual damage, and that will reset the cap, but he is still alive. Doppler down as well. It is now Flaming Panda and Bao Bao versus a huge overmatch from #RU. Valera, Game is Rigged, and Young Money, all still in good health.
Trying to take down Flaming Panda before he fires again to get that reset. Toplum pulls out, gets lit up, and that's not enough time for the flag cap. Bao Bao, last tank left alive, 10 seconds on the board. They could get it. 7 seconds left. Godzilla Mode sees it, fires.
One more
shot, and he gets it with 2 seconds left on the board. #RU cleans up C'est La Vie to take battle number 1 on Rulenberg. They took too much time to start the engagement. We've talked about this many times, but the reason they choose to do it so late is the better chance of one of their T1s surviving the onslaught in case they get completely wrecked. But last second, Godzilla Mode had it.
Yeah, it was impressive. I didn't think that #RU would be able to execute on that, and you can just see how much damage Godzilla Mode ends up taking just to get into the fight, along with his battle buddy, Master Putin. Master Putin was nearly dead for so long, and I'm very surprised that the 1390s were actually able to pick up the first kill. I thought the IS-6s would bounce more shells. I thought we would see their alpha and perhaps some good focus fire come in, but Putin did a good job before going down. He does 800 damage, gets 5 of 5 out. His battle buddy, Godzilla Mode, just carries the team, though, with 12 shots fired, 11 hits, 11 penetrations, does 2k damage. #RU completely wiped the floor with C'est La Vie in a battle I don't think that they should have been able to finish in that fashion.
Impressive play indeed. What does C'est La Vie do after this, though? Do they have a better spawn area on the next map? Do they go for the flag cap? Or is C'est La Vie in a really tough place because now #RU has the 1 battle victory and can play completely passive, which you can't fault them for doing so because they want to play to win. But C'est La Vie still has a chance here because they've had this type of encounter before where they've been down 0-2 and then been able to move past their opponent or start an engagement as a decoy somewhere else on the map and go for the flag cap.
Well, with the next map being Abbey, I expect that we're going to see probably a cap fast attempt from C'est La Vie. #RU is up. C'est La Vie knows how to do some cap fast. Maybe they learned from their last experience with Simp, where it did not work, and we'll see. We'll see if they can do that. They'll have to do probably a bit more of an intricate cap fast than simply putting a 5100 on cap, throwing 2 T1s behind it, and then trying to throw everyone else past that. It's going to have to be much more intricate. Maybe somewhat in the light of what we saw from Simple Tankers. If you remember that battle where Simple Tankers was able to put some tanks in the Abbey while simultaneously starting that cap fast when the flank came around from Simp to attempt to stop that and get the T1 kills. Surprise, surprise, here's 2 extra tanks to stop you.
Could happen. They're spawning from the south, going to the north. Better position overall, at least for the aggressors, compared to the defensive spot in the southwest corner. But also comes down to the tanks. Rukil, what do we have for tanks?
For tanks, 2 5100s, T69, 2 1390s, 2 T1 Cunninghams for #RU. On the other side, we're going to have 2 5100s, a T69, 2 1390s, and 2 T1 Cunninghams. So identical lineups here.
The north in the red, you see #RU up 1 game. To the south in the blue is C'est La Vie. I'm going to follow Bao Bao, the tank that tried to stay alive at the end, that 5100, but Godzilla Mode got the best of him. If he had stayed alive for 2 seconds longer, would have gone to a draw.
But they can't worry about that now.
Nope.
They have to get that out of their minds and focus on the here and now. Abbey.
Sog Cenobite last game was in a T1. In a 1390, was able to spot Godzilla Mode in the similar tank. He falls back a bit. Look at this from #RU.
Oh, he's going to move out, and there it is. Sog able to get up into that high ground.
Takes a hit, though, for 264.
Yeah, sometimes you have to pay for that. He should have moved much sooner. That's the kind of a move that you can make only right at the beginning. You have a very small window before someone's probably going to be there, probably going to take some damage for it, and that proves it right there. Sog taking 1 hit for it. Should have taken even more if #RU were a little bit more aggressive about getting him dealt with. Of course, now we actually have a very interesting move. The Abbey's being taken.
How about Lord Reknaps moving to the center? Along with 2 more tankers, 3 more Sog Cenobites circling around. Big Cheese 256 in the middle, in the 5100, and to the rear is Callus.
And we might have a few
Commander.
shots connect from #RU's 1390 Young Money as Lord Reknaps is on the way up. And that 1390 is going to fire once, take a hit, and need 2 hits. Young Money just getting messed up already, not able to deal any damage in that 1390.
Toplum first to fall in the T1. Sog Cenobite got that kill. Now the chase is on. Big Cheese leading it. Along with Callus against Young Money. Young Money able to dodge 1 shot. Big
Ooh.
Cheese tries to line up a second one.
Wrong
Sog Cenobite turns the corner. They're in the surround and lines up a hit, a big bounce against a 1390.
Yeah, return fire is going to punish Sog for that. 325 damage, 606. And that 1390 barely slips away. I thought #RU wouldn't have angles on that, but yes, Valera Desolator, who is now taking damage himself, was able to punish tanks for beating up his buddies. Those 1390s going to take a little more for it. Damage being spread all around on both teams.
Sog Cenobite still in complete reverse mode, was able to dodge 2 shots that were fired across to the right from #RU. Him and Callus are very, very low. And they're going to pull back behind Bao Bao, who's going to lead the charge again if he needs to. Young Money, Cash Money, to be spotted here. As Bao Bao gets closer to the bottom of the road, taking down some of the fences, some of the... Nice shot from Young Money into the side of Bao Bao. Fires back into the dirt. Bao Bao falls back a bit. Those brick walls could have maybe been a little bit of cover, but a shot could have gone through and penetrated one of the tanks.
Yeah, and at the same time, we have Doppler and Flaming Panda sitting right next to their opponent's cap. We've got 2 T1s in that far northern position. There's also, I believe, Kazo has made his way down all the way to C'est La Vie's cap. And it looks like they're getting ready to begin that cap fast. There is Master Putin in a defensive position. So while the standoff is all happening, T1s are getting ready to start cap pressure, forcing that 2 objective problem for either team to solve. They're going to have to both defend their own caps, and with that, they're going to have to make that cap pressure work themselves. So this will be a very interesting problem of how they split their tanks. Are they going to send 1 tank back, 2 1390s? Are they going to pull everyone back and just try and regroup to defend their cap? Whoever makes the wrong decision will lose very, very quickly.
Big Cheese falls back a little bit here. Still waiting for spotting. In the center, not going to be the case, but 2 tankers are lined up next to the red flag cap. That's Flaming Panda and Doppler. But one of the 5100s, Master Putin, in a defensive play.
Yep.
Not going to keep that open at all. But if they're able to spot that, and if C'est La Vie is in an overmatched position, they're going to go for it in the center of the ad.
However, those T1s could be inconsequential to the fight. And with that, oh, Young Money. Oh, Young Money, you are in the best position there ever was. You're about to find 2 T1s, and that's going to be for free, I think. No, wait, maybe not. Callus is moving in. First shot fired.
Doppler dodges it. Young Money tries to line up Flaming Panda, gets it. Doppler in trouble. Young Money takes 2 damage, leaving the cliff. Gets closer to line up another shot. Could be open to fire. And nice shot from Doppler for 32 damage. Another one for 62.
Shot on the move. There it goes. Callus, though, is going to punish him from the high ground. 1 connection, 2 connections. He needs 1 more shot to finish him off. And it hits the dead tank, hits Doppler. And now Young Money moves away a little bit, goes right on over. Nice moves from Young Money. And Callus is going to actually start to get punished, but Callus gets the final shot and the kill.
And he dodges that shot from Master Putin. The second one did not connect. Callus left with 37 hit points. 4 minutes, 30 seconds.
Now Valera's going to try and get off the hill, move towards the Abbey, showing that #RU also game is rigged. They're going to begin moving towards the Abbey, start their overmatch, and maybe finish the fight. There's so little health on a few tanks from C'est La Vie. We've got Sog at 1 shell. Big Cheese is pretty beat up. Bao Bao's taking a hit himself, and there's a little more health left on the rest of the tanks of #RU.
Big Cheese. Closest to the firefight. They spot him first. Where's Bao Bao? Oh, he can see him.
Oh, he knows.
Game is rigged. Takes the first shot against him, though. Another one in the T69. Gets a third one. Can he get a fourth? He does. But that's all the shots out of Game is rigged. Lord Reknaps takes a hit from Valera.
That's right, Valera is here. He is the backup. Game is rigged, though staying out a little bit too long. And though it might come back to help him, as his Master Putin has full health and needs every bit of it against 3 tanks that are just a few shells from death. 704 on Lord Reknaps. Big Cheese is a one-shot, and Bao Bao is a one-shot.
Master Putin's pushing up. Bao Bao goes down first. He's going to continue to push to the side. Lord Reknaps, however, staying alive. And there goes Big Cheese. And there goes Lord Reknaps. Callus and Sog Cenobite. Last 2 alive in the AMX 1390. Sog Cenobite, maybe 2 shots left in his tank. Callus, you could sneeze and his tank would explode. 37 hit points.
Now Godzilla Mode's on the chase, takes the high ground where Callus takes the low ground. And I think Godzilla Mode's gonna be able to get the shot first. Get the kill. Callus can't escape from this, I don't think. As he rounds the corner, will he spot Callus? Yes. He lights Callus up. And he stops, zeroes the shot. He gets the connection. Callus is down. Sog Cenobite is the last one alive with 2 minutes and 30 seconds left. The rest of his team all moving towards the cap. They know they have that at least for victory.
Sog Cenobite, last alive. 230 hit points left. Trying to possibly go for the draw, but with this amount of tanks and firepower that can be aimed at him in different directions, very hard to do such a thing. Less long-range sniper fire for continual resets with 2 minutes and 10 seconds. Not likely.
Very unlikely, especially because of the Master Putin in the high ground. Love that. 5100's up there. Oh, and he's playing it smart. Look in the right direction. He predicts that Sog could pass through this area. Doesn't know, though. Oh, wait. Sog's going to stop. He's going to go into that high ground. And because of that, he's going to probably be able to take fire. Putin spots him. He knows.
And there he goes down. Hashtag RU now up 2-0 against C'est La Vie. In this map, which there's a lot of action took place on Abbey. This is almost unprecedented for this season.
Well, it's just both teams really wanting to get that win. Hashtag RU wants to keep their streak going. They don't want to lose to a team like C'est La Vie. C'est La Vie wants to prove they've got it, that they can make this work. And a Cap Fast could have done it for them. You saw how they were lining up for it. Had those 2 T1s in the backfield. We're going to force the 2 objectives. Unfortunately, it looks like Hashtag RU has really picked up on that. They know that C'est La Vie likes to go for a Cap Fast. And because they like to go for it, just get ready for it.
It's a really good read for their opponent. It was very, very tough the moment that one shot bounced off of Young Money Cash Money because the 11390 that was trying to go for it is a Sog Cenobite? I think it was Sog Cenobite turned the corner. The center of Abbey, you understand. Yeah, I understand what he's doing. He's trying to get that damage against Young Money Cash Money. Guaranteed tier 8 kill, then pull back. That one shot bounces, and then 2 more tanks are on him, landing shots. And by the time he comes back in full reverse, he's almost dead. So automatically, Hashtag RU is in the lead HP value-wise. Even though they lose Young Money Cash Money first, as out of all the tier 8s, C'est La Vie has taken so much damage in comparison that Hashtag RU can push up and go for the kills, which is what we saw in the center of Abbey. So it was good to see that type of engagement, that fighting happen in the center of Abbey, but C'est La Vie took way too much damage trying to get those kills.
Yeah, and Hashtag RU just was too good at covering their own tanks. T69s, 5100s sitting in that back second line, 1390s leading the way, playing the hill games, playing the scouts as they should. And they ended up taking a lot of fire for it, but just good crossfires all over the place from Hashtag RU. They're playing very competently.
And you notice that Doppler did not have the Hispano Souza. He had the one-shot gun,
37.
37 mil. And that was fun to see. Landed about 62 damage before he went down. That penetration.
Yeah, it's pretty good to see a T1 bring that, because when you recognize that there is a place, there's a time and a place for changing the gun on a tank. WZ-132, sometimes that 1390 to a 75mm cannon. The 5100 can mount 2 cannons, which are viable. T32 can mount 2 cannons, which are viable. And then the T1 can mount 2 that are both viable. And I think that was the right situation. It's unfortunate that he didn't get to utilize it more.
Indeed. Well, maybe that type of utilization will be used on Mines, which will be the 3rd map of the series. Ryuko, what do we have for tanks?
We've got 4 AMX 5100s and a 1390 with 2 T1 Cunninghams for #RU. C'est La Vie's got a single 5100, a T32, and 3 1390s, along with their 2 T1s. Actually, let's go ahead and take a look at those T1s. Got Toplin with his 20 mil, Kazo with his 20 mil,
Flaming Panda,
20 mil,
20 mil. Dopper.
37.
There has been a disconnect declared for these teams, and we will have to exit the battle.
Yep. Back to garage, let that guy reconnect or sub him out, and they'll have the same tanks. Start it again. Now, I actually want to talk about that lineup we just saw. 4 AMX 5100s and a 1390 is a very interesting lineup to bring. That says that I'm going to just push and mow you over, because it is very difficult for the opponent to just push into you. You could camp. You could camp with 5100s and a 1390. That's fine. But if I have 4 5100s and a 1390, I'm just going to push on out. I'm going to get a nice position, and there's going to be so much concentrated fire in one area that whoever is out there is going to die so very quickly. And then the next guy to poke out will die so very quickly. There's no response that I feel that lineup has that is appropriate, aside from maybe a cap fast. That is it. If C'est La Vie can bait those 5100s and 1390 away from their own base, they'll have to expose their own, but they could get a cap fast done. It's going to be crazy.
I feel that these two team lineups should be reversed. The T-32 should be on the side of the defense. But Cenobites choosing the T-32 because they want to maintain that presence in the center of the map. And hopefully try to look for different types of flanks if they're going to use it that way.
Yeah. To remind you guys again, 4 5100s, a 1390, and 2 T1 Cunninghams for #RU. You've got a single 5100, T-32, 3 1390s, and 2 T1s. So you've got this hugely mobile lineup in different manners from both teams. You've got 3 1390s, which have that incredible high mobility, the very pinnacle of it in 7x42. You've got a T-32, which is slower, 5100, pretty medium speed, but not exactly slow. On the other side, #RU only has 1 1390, only one tank that is the pinnacle of speed and mobility. The 5100s are pretty fast too, just not quite. Once they get up to speed, though, they really do get going.
Callus and Lord Reknaps hanging out on the water side of the map. #RU can play as defensive for the next 3 battles, this one and the 2 following for the win. Well, technically this one and the next one for the win, since C'est La Vie would only have the opportunity to win 1 battle, meaning an automatic win for #RU. Shot fired towards Callus, not a connection, but Young Money Cash Money gets hit in his 5100.
Yep, that was on the entrance to the hill. And now we've got perhaps a little bit of a counter. Callus moving out in the open is not lit anymore. 5100s are trying to find an angle on him, and if he gets spotted, he's going to get messed up. There's so many 5100 guns on him right now. 300 average damage per hit. He's got 1100 hit points. It's not a lot of hits you can take.
Shot fired towards Callus again. Callus returns fire towards Toplin for the kill.
I'm amazed none of those hit.
They were right next to the rock in this section.
Oh. Yeah, they were aiming right for it, and 5100s aren't that bad at sniping. They're not the most ideal sniper in the game, German tanks being a little bit better, but it's still a very accurate tank once you have a settled shot.
Well, I'd much rather have a T-32 or T-69 for a long range shot.
T-32 with the 90 mil. Oh, speaking of American tanks and accuracy, did you see the M46 Patton got a buff to its accuracy?
Yes,
last
on the
match?
run, actually on the move, I did.
Yeah.
I did see that.
I played it, dude. Sick. Sick. I was already feeling pretty nice about its accuracy, and now it's just disgusting.
Game is rigged. It's shot for 302. Sog Cenobites get a hold. As here's a push coming from #RU. They fire into the T-32. Will they make the same mistake we saw last week of Civil Takers versus RBIS of focusing too much? No, he goes down first. 5100s are focused primarily on that tank to now get the high ground, and Godzilla mode is taking a couple shots from Bao Bao from up top. Big Cheese trying to line up any hits going towards #RU, pushing down the rest of the way from the high ground. But not going to be the case yet. Godzilla mode's still alive, but very low and on the reload.
Wow, they've really paid to begin that attack. They have picked up a TA for it, but there's so little health on a few tanks. Young Money, Cash Money, Godzilla mode, both very low. Lord Racknips could very well just bring this one back with Bao Bao and Big Cheese, especially if #RU keeps waiting. And now Young Money has gone down.
Callus fires again. They can't fire back. They're still waiting the reload. At least Valera is. And now they're going to leave. They're going to chase Lord Reknaps. 2 tier 8s down. Both the 5100s for #RU. But Game is Writ takes down Lord Reknaps, tying up the tier 8s that are down. Both T1s down for C'est La Vie. Callus fires, takes down Godzilla mode.
All right, that's one way to do it. And now we've got a very interesting position. Big Cheese and Bao Bao in the high ground with Kazo right down below. Proxy spotting, good T1 play, by the way. Nice. 2 T8s in the low ground. 5100s do not have great hull down. Above, Big Cheese is at great health. Bao Bao, also in good health. They just, in this position alone, are commanding everything. Now Callus is moving behind. He's going to be able to finish off Game is Rigged. The pressure from C'est La Vie is going to be too much. Callus sees Game is Rigged. Zeroing the shot. Fires and connects the first one.
Bao Bao trying to line up another one. Does. Decided Game is Rigged. And he gets it. Master Putin last alive.
And he's out in the open. It's going to be easy shots for Big Cheese, Callus, and Bao Bao. Waiting for Bao Bao. He lines up a shot. Knows he's in the open. Big Cheese as well. One shot. Second one for Big Cheese is going to be a miss. And Callus is going to come up and over. Good flanking.
Callus takes another hit. Big Cheese. Moving up closer. Bao Bao able to land it. C'est La Vie puts a point on the board.
There we go. That's what they needed to do. I think it was a big mistake from #RU. Good response from C'est La Vie. Big mistake from #RU. Went out in the open, tried to use that overmatch. C'est La Vie was in a very strong defensive position, and they made their shots count very well. They spread a lot of that damage, yes, but they were able to make up for it with good flanks from Callus.
Putting that position of the 5100s up top is so powerful. Yes, they do focus on the T-32. When you look at how much damage they're taking, they're in such a large crossfire, focusing on that one tank.
And notice at the bottom, in the mini-map, you see Callus, that little blue dot, just moving on in. And as everything starts to get in there, the 5100s are going to run out of steam. They're going to run out of shells or enough hit points to be able to poke out. And because of this, you've got Young Money chilling in the back. He just doesn't want to expose himself, but he doesn't predict that Callus is coming up behind them. Because that, 3, 2, 1, and he goes down. And from there, it's just like dominoes.
Yep.
One after the other. Once you have position, along with more hit points, more tanks, everything's over. It's all over.
Callus was 11 for 12 in that firefight for 2,094 damage.
There you go.
Above him was Bao Bao, 8 for 12, 2,220.
5100s hit hard. It's a great tank to have on defense. If you want to pick something to defend on mines, on anything, you can pick the object, you could pick a tank destroyer, but a 5100 has so much damage in a short amount of time, and it can split it among multiple tanks, which is an advantage all on its own, because you can get the track shots, you can finish off more tanks, and there's a lot less wasted damage, whereas a tank destroyer, which hits for 490 sometimes or even more, is going to waste shells or waste potential damage here and there, just blowing something up that was at 30 or 100 health.
I couldn't tell the prime spot where those T1s were killed, but it's one of those scenarios where you send a sacrificial T1 to scout, where are they? Because if we only see one T-32 in the center, we can venture a guess that they're keeping those 5100s up in that top bank. And from there, you have no real strong way to push against that. And if you're at an advantage of being up 2-0, you don't have to. Battle number 4 is going to take place on steps between #RU versus C'est La Vie. Rookkill, what do we have for tanks?
All right, this one's interesting. An Object 416 and 4 1390s, 2 T1 Cunninghams for #RU. C'est La Vie is going to bring 5 1390s and 2 T1 Cunninghams. That's mobility if I've ever seen it. And #RU is going to bring a pretty nice gun. That Object 416 hits for 320 damage. It's practically the same gun that you see on the T-54, which is a tier 9 medium. He should be fairly dangerous in this battle.
Lord Reknaps, Bao Bao, Big Cheese, Sog Cenobite sticking together. On the western side, There you see hashtag RU in the distance, moving in close.
No spotting yet. Valera's getting very, very close. And they've actually taken a very risky approach. And I think some spotting. Doppler is down. First T1 down for C'est La Vie. It's going to be a slight disadvantage if there's ever a cap. Young Money spots a number of tanks from C'est La Vie. And with that, we're going to see Game is Rigged taking up a crossing position. If they recognize he's out of the fight, there's a big advantage for C'est La Vie to make their push in. And they might have recognized it now. 41390 sitting on the backside of a hill, though. And no, they're going to push in, exposing themselves to all 5 guns from hashtag RU. The focus fire is first onto Big Cheese, and he will go down. Young Money should be next to be focused. One more shell, and he will go down. Sog now being focused is one more shell, and that's the kill advantage, hugely in the favor of hashtag RU.
Lord Reknaps lands another hit against Valera. He takes a shot for 526 in that volley. One goes just above his tank as Bao Bao has one more shot to the side of Master Putin. Both 5100s are going to fall back and reload for both sides of hashtag RU and C'est La Vie as the dust settles. Callus still has 5 shots left in his 1390. He takes a shot from Game is Rigged right before he's able to leave the danger zone next to that rock, but he's still going to stay close and cover the retreat of Bao Bao and Lord Reknaps as they are the last 3 tanks alive in order for C'est La Vie to stay in the Gold League.
But look at this, now T1s are down. C'est La Vie is at a disadvantage of cap pressure and their ability to gain effective vision. Hashtag RU has every reason to win this, but I said that last battle in Mines.
Callus took track damage as he fell off the tiny hill going just too fast in the 1390. Bao Bao is going to still cover as he is reloaded, waiting for any tanks from hashtag RU to pop up. They are moving from the southern section, now moving towards the eastern valley. From there, potentially putting on pressure on the flag cap, forcing C'est La Vie to move further north and engage them on their turf, on their rules. Still, the matchup, 3 tier 8s left on both sides. The T1s from hashtag RU can be very key here for spotting and for flag capture.
Precisely, like pawns in the middle of a chessboard, they will allow hashtag RU to very flexibly and easily move their big pieces back and forth in order to gain control and go for the objectives.
There's one thing that C'est La Vie has excelled at in their wins in Season 4 of the Gold League, their premiere of the Gold League, it's the flag captures. And Callus is now leading the charge for C'est La Vie, heading from the south towards the flag cap in the eastern half of the map. On the hotel line, going through the 3, now the 4th quadrant, no spotting yet, but Topolium is in a prime location in a T1 to spot these tanks.
Oh, he's got it. He's got him lit. Bao Bao, Lord Reknaps, Callus, all directly within line of sight. They know they're lit. They've got to get into proper cover because the tanks from hashtag RU Godzilla mode lining up a shot. Game is rigged, and Putin. There's a connection for 242 from long range. That's got to be Godzilla.
Another one towards Callus is a miss. Callus is trying to get a kill on Kazo, but he left himself too open for that fire. And they don't want to try to chase Topolium because that could leave them too exposed for more fire coming from the same position. Hashtag RU now knowing where C'est La Vie have sent their last remaining tanks, head further north towards the flag cap and will put the pressure, making C'est La Vie come to them. Callus, believing this will happen since they spotted him, sends Lord Reknaps and Bao Bao to the north to try to prevent or perhaps prolong the flag cap in that section.
Possibly, but you've got Godzilla and Master Putin also moving up there with Game is Rigged. Cap has begun. Kazo baiting it out. Master Putin and Godzilla mode will line up shots. Godzilla looking to the west. Master Putin looking to the southwest. Godzilla mode, nice position. That's a good push position. That'll give him some cover, make him harder to spot.
There goes Kazo.
Yep, T1 is down. All right, they were not able to actually get any damage out for that. Very surprising, actually. And now we've got Topolium actually chasing, in a way, the positions of C'est La Vie. It's very odd he's left out completely alone. Very sacrificial. He'll be able to maybe get a little bit of spotting. He'll likely go down if C'est La Vie decides to turn back. But he cannot put cap pressure from here. Those 1390s and Object are going to be dead even in the fight. And Callus, Bao Bao are crossing. I think Godzilla may have spotted them.
I see a straight-on brawl coming out of C'est La Vie. They're going to go down swinging if this is their last battle. Shot fired on Bao Bao. Master Putin able to land that one. Fires again for a miss. Bao Bao heading closer towards the rocks. Fires on the move. Master Putin takes a hit, though, coming from Callus. Another one.
One more. He should go down. And he goes in the dirt from Callus, but he's going to be able to do a last shot into the tracks. And Putin is going to be getting away. Bao Bao taking plenty of damage. Bao Bao may go down from Godzilla mode. No, he's going to get into cover. Okay.
No, he's able to fall back in time. He saw Master Putin leaving that section. He almost went for the shot, but he took too much damage. Reknaps takes down Topalum.
There we go, and that's going to actually even it up. We've got 2 tanks for either team. Hashtag use Putin and C'est La Vie's Bao Bao are both a simple one-shot away from death. They both have T8s with reasonable hit points. Bao Bao's trying to pull out right now, and game is rigged, and Godzilla mode are going to be able to get a free kill. I don't think that C'est La Vie's going to be able to respond properly.
Fires into the tracks. And a shot from the 416 misses. Godzilla mode can't get the shot over the tracks as Bao Bao leaves the scene towards Callus and Lord Reknaps, who have perhaps put themselves in a good position in the rocks in the Echo line.
It looked like they had shots for a second, but now they're just pulling back. I think
they're trying to draw it out. I think they're trying to keep the danger prolonged against hashtag RU, saying, we're not going to let you go for the flag cap. There's a shot against Game is Rigged. We're not going to let you try to attack us from either side. We're going to stick together, fan out, and then stick together again as they're now retreating towards their flag cap. They took out the danger in the south, Topalum in that T1, so they feel more comfortable trying to control their enemy's behavior in this northern section of the map and now drawing further back to the south.
Exactly. They're going for that mobility game. They have 3 1390s. Their opponent has an Object 416. Their Object 416 cannot keep up with the 1390s mobility. You just can't. And now, with that, they're going to be able to try and kite them out. Hashtag RU, if they can't keep it tight, will let their 1390s get too far ahead. The Object 416 will be able to keep up, and they'll be able to take an engagement. This is, I think, what C'est La Vie is going for, like you were talking about. Once those 2 1390s are out and alone, Object 416 will come up late, but with the amount of time left, it might just go to a draw. C'est La Vie could be okay with that. A tiebreaker right now wouldn't get them very far, would it? But it would still be something, and it would be denial.
It's better than nothing.
It would deny hashtag RU a lot of points.
It could. It could actually force hashtag RU to be knocked out of the Gold League.
Really?
If they go to a tiebreaker, or if they go to a if they go to a tiebreaker in this series, and even hashtag RU wins, it'll knock them down potentially to, well, 6th place.
Which would
they still would stay in the league, but they could be relegated out.
Yeah, they'd have to.
They'd still fight their way to stay.
That would be surprising, especially with the entrance they made last season.
Indeed. They actually made it to the top 8, went to the season finals, lost against Hammer Time in a tied-up series and went to a shootout.
That was an interesting one. I really do enjoy that one.
Here we go. The strength of C'est La Vie now going to be displayed perhaps for the final time for the Gold League as they're going to put all 3 tanks on the flag cap, forcing hashtag RU to come to them. Callus and Lord Reknaps are going to align themselves to cover Bao Bao, the lowest HP tank. As Godzilla mode game is rigged and Master Putin push up. 18 seconds left. They have to get a reset. 1:10.
They're waiting for everyone to get together. Putin moving out so he can have flanking fire. At the same time, Godzilla mode just waiting to move up. I think he's going to get the spot. Yes, he does. Fires once and gets the first reset. Now game is rigged, moves just out into the open, and the focus fire goes right at him. It's not going to be enough. 2 tanks go down. Lord Reknaps is last. He does take out game is rigged, and the fire from Putin will take him down.
And that's it. Hashtag RU gets the victory 3-1 over C'est La Vie in the final matchup for these 2 teams in the Alpha Division for Season 4. With that, we say a farewell to C'est La Vie. They impressed us continually with their flag cap mechanics, and if they're able to overcome the issues that they have this season, be it brawling, be it people showing up to the matches, be it the roster changes, whatever they need to do to overcome those obstacles to be a better team, we can see them return again in the Gold League. And if they are able to make some adjustments, make some tweaks here and there, this is a team that could definitely make it to the finals next season.
Very well. Although I believe a lot of what we're hearing from them is that a bunch of the members might not be coming back, but there are people, a core group, which are expected to maybe look for other teams. There's some real talent on C'est La Vie that I think other teams would be lucky to be able to pick up.
Indeed, indeed. Well, hashtag RU stays alive. They break out of the 5th place tie launching them up higher in the standings. They could face another tiebreaker potentially, and in that tiebreaker, fight for 4th or 5th place, and after that, play in the wild cards, and they still could get kicked out of the playoffs. The playoffs is a 2 double elimination tournament on both sides of the bracket. Out of the 8 teams, it'll be whittled down to 4 teams, and those 4 teams will be joining us in the finals August 30th. Well, a good series to start off the night, Rookhill. And we're going to have to get ready for the second matchup. That's Fun Gaming versus Top Tier after this.